Hello and welcome to Magic Mondays. Magic Mondays is about women helping to empower others who are struggling and can't find the energy, the courage, or the knowledge to move forward in their lives. Hello, my name is Glenda Kroll and I'm a business and life strategy coach, and I'm seeing so many women today that at some point don't have the confidence, the drive, or the energy to make it over the hurdles in their lives. So I'm asking women to come and tell their stories, how they have moved forward in their lives when at times it seemed impossible to do so. I'm hoping someone out there might be able to draw some strength from someone's story and move forward in their lives. Today, I would like to take you to meet a friend of mine, Jody Steinhauer. She is president and founder of the Bargains Group, a national award-winning discount wholesale and promotional products company she founded some 30 years ago to revolutionize the business landscape for good. As a Canadian female entrepreneur, everything she does is imbued by her mantra, giving back makes great business sense. Jody is a tireless advocate for the homeless and founder of a 20-year-old charity, Engage and Change. Its two annual initiatives, Project Winter Survival and Project Water, helped thousands of homeless throughout Toronto and the surrounding area survive the extreme weather conditions while engaging individuals in group volunteering and active philanthropy. Inspired by the charities, Jody has launched a new social enterprise, Kits for Cause, in 2018. Jody has made it a turnkey, fun and engaging for businesses from coast to coast to engage their employees while solving local community service needs for day-to-day supplies. Her model of brokering goodness has worked with some of the top industry leaders in both corporate and philanthropic spheres. Mindful of the ever-changing landscape facing a nonprofit sector, Jody constantly applies her entrepreneurial spirits to bridge her growing disparity between the needs and the available resources. Jody has been esteemed recipient of several awards, including Business Leader of the Year Award, Canadian Woman Entrepreneur of the Year Award, Canadian Top 40 and Under 40, and most recently was recognized by the Salvation Army CTV Toy Mountain with Friendship Award this past holiday season. As a result of her passion, her focus, and a dedication, everyone she connects with receives the absolute maximum possible value every single time. Come along with me and please allow me the honor to introduce to you this incredible woman. Thank you. Welcome, Jody, and thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you. Thrilled to be part of this.
Thank you. So let's start with telling everybody about your background and how you got involved in this business.
Well, my background actually was fashion, and I went to school for fashion, business, and marketing. And when I graduated, I was really fortunate to have a choice of several jobs, and I worked for the visionary behind the company Lululemon, who is not Chip Wilson. Chip Wilson has the name and he was the founder, but I worked for an incredible man who really put it on the map. I worked for him and I left because our core values just didn't align. And I was promoted very quickly. I then went to another fashion company and the same thing happened again. And without getting into it, if the Me Too movement was around, I would be able to write a very large book back then. So I had this disparity, and it was fighting my love for helping people and helping, but being really authentic at the same time. So I took a job that I found in the paper to supply back to purchase school supplies for a private school. And I thought, well, that's easy. I love to shop and I'm a bargain person. I can do that. And when the guy took a look at my resume, he said, how old are you? You need to meet someone. And I'll never forget, I got in his car. Can you imagine? I got in the car of a headhunter and drove right across the city to a dilapidated warehouse. And he introduced me to this man who was in the very low end fashion industry as opposed to the high end where I came from.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. And I started the next day. He bought huge amounts of product. He had 30 stores, and my job was to sell. He would take 75% of it and give it to me to resell to stores across Canada with no internet. I mean, I did it over the phone back then. And he would put some into his stores. And I made him so much money, and then he made a bad business decision. He was buying out a competitor. He was so far into debt with the lawyers. He said, "You were right, I should have never done this, and I'm gonna have to close the company down or go bankrupt, but I've set you up next door because you are the company." And at the time I was single. I didn't have a mortgage, I didn't have children.
Yeah.
So I was told, why don't you just put your name on the door? You are the business. And so I did. So from a really bad situation, because I was open, became an incredible opportunity. And I opened a company called Bargains because I had registered Bargains. I was always doing side deals. And I started the next Monday morning, and all of the suppliers, primarily in Montreal at the time, and Winnipeg, heard that I had left this man and all called me and said, "We heard you left. What are you doing? We will send you samples. Go sell our product, and we'll ship you whatever you want. And when you get paid, you can pay us."
Wow.
And at 20, probably 1 years old, I said, "Oh, that's really nice. Thank you." I didn't realize that that was called self-financing. And that's how I started my company. I mean, literally out of my apartment. And then I literally was taught by my father, you never bite off more than you can chew. You never go to bed at night if you can't pay your suppliers. So I then took 100 square feet in someone's warehouse, and then I moved to a second warehouse. And within this area, within 1 kilometer of where we're sitting now, I've had 7 offices in 30 years. But this is actually my only first ever freestanding office. I never had a window until I moved into this building.
Wow, that is
Because I wasn't a
incredible.
princess, and I was brought up like, just keep the money in the company.
Right.
Only take out what you need, and you'll always be okay. So that's how I started the company.
And it's a great lesson to learn in business, to do something like that. Don't overextend yourself, because that overextends,
Yeah.
especially today.
Especially today.
Now.
You know, that whole rainy day, my dad was an accountant, and he also taught me, if you pay yourself this much, Revenue Canada takes this much.
Yeah.
If you keep your money in your company and you learn you can legally expense things, you only get this much taken off. So having a great accountant from day one has really saved me, especially because I'm in a very low margin business.
So that's the secret. So what are one of the greatest challenges that you face?
Well, on a day-to-day business, I would say my biggest challenge is finding the right people. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will tell you this. It's so difficult. I have these massive visions and massive opportunities every day. They come to me. But I've made a decision I won't ever compromise the quality or service that I provide. And I can't take things on if I don't have the right people on the bus. And it's a real problem. You know, the right people, we have kind of a culture here and a subculture that people come to me all day long. They come in this room, they look at all of the charity work we do and all we do, and all they say is, "We want to work for someone like you. That's what we want to do." No, they want to be part of it, but they don't necessarily want to work. And we say, great, in order to do this work, we need to make money too, right? You can't just do charity work all day long unless you would like to volunteer and not get a paycheck. So finding the right people that share our vision for helping the less fortunate is a continuous challenge. And I think also learning how to say no to opportunities that maybe are right opportunities, but not right now opportunities. That's also a challenge for an entrepreneur because our minds just don't shut off.
Right, and it's sometimes, you know, it's you know, the timing of everything is one of the most important ingredients in life, and we can't do everything, and you know, like I myself do the same things from time to time. You get carried away, and you know, it's that silver shiny object. It looks great, but sometimes you've got to step back.
Right.
And really look at the picture, and that's what I try to tell people, like that, especially as an entrepreneurs, we can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah, and I think also for, I have a big team now, and we can make them crazy too. We have to be able to not only us do it, but say to them, I know you really want to do this, but let me point out some things that you may not be seeing. The reason why I would recommend we put it over here and
Yes.
come and revisit it, because I think that's the other challenge. I have incredible people here that have been with me for decades.
Nice.
And, they trust me because of that shiny object syndrome, and they know if this part of the business goes, when Walmart came to Canada and I was servicing every small store across the country, there was a lot of fear.
Of
Right?
course.
Think about all of the stores in every small town on Main Street.
Yeah.
They're no longer there anymore. So the entire industry was in fear. I look at it differently. Wow, this is awesome. This is going to force me to find a way to pivot. And my team trusts that I'll figure it out. Like that's what having a great team is. But they also know that I'll also say to them, I don't think you should do this. One of my guys who ran my entire retail division wanted to start a promotional products company under our umbrella because all of our charities wanted our famous $2 t-shirts with a logo on it for their walkathon, for their charity. And he wanted to literally scrap all of the other business and focus only on that. And I had to say to him, I think it's a really good business, but it's going to take you 10 years to evolve, because when someone needs to buy logoed pens or a tote bag or a t-shirt, they only need it once or twice a year. You can't make a living where a retail store needs product from you every single week. So if you really want to do this, I'm going to support you, but let's make a long-term plan that you spend 10% of your day until you have this much business, and then 20% of your day, and you're decreasing and you're increasing. And that's how you're going to do this, unless you're ready to take a big hit in your income and start fresh. So that's the kind of opportunities that I think that the team comes to me and knows that I'm very sensible and I know what's possible. And if it's not possible, I'm not afraid to tell them, I don't think this is a good decision. Right? And sometimes I'm wrong and I let them do it.
Yeah,
But most times we, as entrepreneurs, we are born with great guts. And every time I've gone against my gut, my entire management team will say, listen to her. Her gut is never wrong. And that's something we're blessed with.
So, I hope you're really paying attention, because there's so many tidbits that Jody is actually giving out there for people. I've always lived most of my life through my gut. And it's every time I actually don't listen to myself, I always come back and I'm always kicking myself, because things that I don't listen to always turn back to bite me. So it's really important, and all these other areas that you're mentioning are great tidbits for businesses and just moving forward in life. Of your gut tells you if even whether you're a mother or you're in a relationship, it's that gut that tells you so many things, and we all have to learn. I always say to sit back and think and allow some quiet time so you can really reflect of what works for you, right?
Absolutely. I love the best thing I can tell you is bookending your day by, every night before I go to bed, I try and write it down, but if not, I think about what are 3 things that I'm grateful for today.
I love it.
And in the morning, what are 3 things that I need to accomplish today? And there's been some really dark days where the 3 things that I were grateful that I actually got out of bed and brushed my teeth. So, we all have really, really dark times. But then there's other days where I can't believe the 3 things. It's like I've won the lottery. So I think gratitude really helps center me in being grateful that no matter how bad a situation is, there's always something that you can get good out of it. Even if you have to, I always say to my kids, squeeze that towel and wring it so hard to get just one drop. Find that one drop even in the darkest days, and it will help you feel better about yourself or your situation.
Yeah, I am totally... We're in the same ballpark right there, because I believe it's the gratitude that has made it, for me, making it through the hardest times. And you have to sit back and hold on to that. And some days it's just the fact that you can breathe.
Right.
Right? It's just so important that we all have so much to be grateful for, and sometimes
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find it, but one of the best stories I tell. I went through a really, really difficult 5-year divorce journey, and people would say to me, how did you make it through? I had crazy things happen. And I said, you know what? I look after homeless people. And what kept me alive every day was saying, I haven't slept, I'm in fear for my life, and all the multitudes of things happening. Yeah. I have a roof over my head, and I have beautiful children. And I would think of some of my clients. I wasn't in a shelter. I could have been.
Right.
But if my dad, the accountant, didn't teach me how to put money away, that's what kept me alive, going to my rainy day savings and being able to put food on my table still and have a roof over my head. And that's, I think, there's always someone that's in a worse situation than you, and recognizing that, whether they be near you or in a third world country. We are so fortunate living in Canada with everything we have. And when you really think about a problem we're having, whether it be a business problem or a personal problem, many times I'll say, that's a first world problem, not a third world problem. And that's really kind of what brings me back.
And it's really true. Working with the homeless, I do out in the cold in the wintertime. So I believe in that. And you know, I remember even the first year that I ever did it, I did it because I was just helping somebody out because there was a shortage of people, and I couldn't believe of when I walked away and thought, wow, this made me feel so good. Right? Like I had always been helping, but and then once you get to know what these
stories.
people and the stories, and you realize that
they're just you and I with really shitty luck. That's really what it
and
is.
The exact same thing, and it's just, that's the whole thing that people just don't realize. It's like any of us could end up in that position at any points in our life.
I've had 2 clients who are presidents of companies who ended up in a women's shelter with their kids and called me, you know, walked out of the big house, the Mercedes, and said the police had to come and take my children and I to safety. And I'm probably wearing the socks and underwear from the Bargains Group. And now I understand what you do and why you do it. Thank you. I mean, and these are very, very powerful people. But you're 100% right. When you talk about poverty and homelessness, I always say it's not them, it's us without a savings account and really bad luck.
Yeah, and we have to look at that.
Yeah.
So then brings me to my next question. What would be one of your greatest achievements?
My greatest achievements. I think 5 years ago when I made a decision, I found I couldn't understand what was going on with me health-wise. Why was I gaining weight? Why? I didn't understand. I tried everything. I thought I had cancer. I would say the doctors, check again, give me another scan. There's something wrong. And the doctor said to me, you're suffering from massive depression. And I said, are you kidding? I'm the happiest person everybody knows. And she said, no, you're the busiest person everybody knows. And I went home and I thought about it. And within 2 weeks, I woke up and I made a decision. I called a girlfriend and said, I need a girls' weekend. I'm coming to visit you in the States. And my husband said, why aren't I coming? I have this really crazy feeling that when you come home, you're going to tell me our marriage is over. And I didn't want to tell him that way, but I said it was. And the decision to leave, not a bad, I mean, he was a really good, decent guy, but I wasn't at my optimal level. I wasn't truly happy. And on my list of things was, before I turned 50, I want to be with my soulmate, and I want to be with the person I want to spend the next 50. And when the doctor said that to me, it really set off alarm bells. So walking out what everybody was shocked that I did, because everyone said, I can't believe it. We didn't think you were having any problems. And I said I wasn't. I just wasn't at 100% happiness. There's nothing more I could do. So I went through a huge journey. And while I was going through literally the war, I also made a big decision that in order to find that happiness that I left for, because I didn't leave for anybody, I left to find happiness.
And it was for yourself.
It was for me.
Right.
And if I'm not happy, I'm not a good mother.
Right.
I'm not a good friend. I'm not healthy. And I'm definitely not a good leader or business person. So I had to carve out time in my day, which I didn't have now as a single mom, fighting the war of what I was fighting, to figure out how I was going to put online dating and finding my partner
Wow.
into that day. So I built a business strategy out, and I set every day a discipline, just like a business thing. And I did it X amount of times at different times of the day. I figured out how I was going to meet people if they met my filtering system. I went away for an entire week and sat in a cottage by myself online. And at the end of a year and a half, I had filtered through 1,700 people. I did not date 1,700 men, but I had filtered through 1,700 people down through my system that I kept defining and defining and defining, just like I do business-wise. And I went out with under 9 men, and 3 of them I think got second dates, and one of them I'm glad to say I'm marrying. So,
Wow,
you know, it was that
congratulations.
discipline to really say, I need that happiness, and how am I going to get it? And it's up to me. Taking ownership of it and building a system. And so many people I meet, especially women, you know, are always, oh, I'm not going to find someone. I said, you're not going to find someone with that attitude. You have, you know, you want something, you got to go get it. It's not, especially the way the world is. Nobody's just going to drop on your plate. If you're one of the few, good for you. But nobody ever fixed me up. They thought, oh, she'll have no problem. Nobody ever asked me out. They figured, oh, she'll have no problem. But you know what? If I didn't take control of it, I would still probably be in that maybe 70% happiness state. So figure out what you want and take control. And that was probably the hardest decision of my life. But now when I reflect on it, wow, has my life ever changed?
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so important that people have to learn that they have to take responsibility for their own life and own their ownership, because otherwise you're never going to have what you want in your life. And it's you know, we can't sit around and blame somebody else for what's going on in your life.
I have a sign on my wall, I'll show you after, and it says victim and champion. And I live by that.
Love it.
And even my team, I say to them all the time, if they come in and they're whining, I say,
Yeah.
I don't hang out with victims. Don't be a victim.
Yeah.
I only hang out with champions. And champions look at every situation as either an opportunity or a challenge. Victims blame everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've made a conscious shift, because we all have victims in our life, to, you know, some of my closest people around me live in that mode. And I'm not going to get rid of them, but I sure spend less time with them.
Well,
because
exactly.
they're energy vampires. And if
Right.
I want to do what I want to do and be who I want to be, I need to be around positivity. And I think we all need that.
Well, that's what grows us, and you know, stepping back and learning. Like I always, and we just talked about this earlier, was the fact of, you know, when in your life, when there's struggles or challenges or whatever word you want to use, you know, it's only the word that, for me, I always look at it, it's my time to grow.
Right.
It's my time to learn something new. Right. So a failure isn't a failure, it's a learning experience.
Absolutely.
So it's totally, you know, is your glass half empty or half full? You decide.
Yeah, and I think allowing people to fail, whether we just had a huge, an incredible opportunity in our business, and I let my team run with it, and I was sitting grinding my teeth and sitting on my hands because they didn't run with it in the most effective, efficient way, which meant we didn't optimize the opportunity. And I sat back, and it's really, really hard to do, and watched them. They got through it, and they got to the finish line, but it was absolute chaos in every part of the organization. So I sat down with the team and said, great job. I need you to take some feedback as a learning opportunity. I'm not saying this in a negative way, but let me tell you how, if in the very beginning we had a conference about this, how my input may have changed some of the ways you did it. And you would have still gotten the same outcome, but we would have been more profitable and a lot less stress and chaos on the rest of the team, that we pulled everybody in. And thank goodness, I said it from a place of concern and love, not from a place of, you're stupid, you shouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
And they will grow and learn from that, and the next time they have a similar opportunity, they will definitely pivot a little bit of how they deal with it. Because in the end, I want the best for everybody, but I always say 3 heads are better than 2. You know, we all think differently, and if you're not collaborating with everybody in your life and you're making those decisions alone, the will never be as good as if you're
No, absolutely.
partnering or collaborating.
Yeah, when we sit down and we talk about things, that's why, especially as women, we it's much easier for us. We sit around even as we have coffee and we open ourselves up and we speak about challenges or what opportunities and even some great things that are happening. When we speak about it, sometimes somebody will say something and you go, oh, that's another way of looking at it. Maybe I could do it this way or that way. And it's, you're doing it out of love and concern. It's nothing negative,
Right.
but it's something if you're open to it and allow that you're willing to listen to somebody else, it's something that can change your business, change your life,
Absolutely.
and maybe make the instead of taking a longer journey, it might cut down the journey and makes things, like you're saying, change your profit level as
Absolutely.
well, which is
And making
important.
the decisions also where you're right and saying no. That whole philosophy about the customer is always right, bullshit. I just had a situation with a very prestigious customer called me and said they needed to return something. And I said, okay, why? This is the bargains group. People don't return things. I don't sell things that, and they gave me a reason why. And I said, if I'm understanding you correctly, can I make a suggestion? They were given their customer, it was a not-for-profit, a choice of a brand name product and a non-brand name product. The reason, we cleaned out the entire country of all the non-brand and they needed more, so we had to supplement with some brand. So I said they wanted to return all the non-brand and me to change it for all the brand. So I said, number one, you can't afford it. You can't afford it. Number two, do you know what the shipping would be to ship everything back? You can't afford it, you're a charity. But number three, let me tell you how to get around it. Take the brand name stuff off, pack it up, off for the non-brand, and then when you're done, bring out the other stuff, and that will solve your problem. And they said, you know what? You're 100% right. That's why we always deal with you. You always have an answer. And most people would have said, oh my God, there's such a big client. We have to take it back. I said, we'll only take it back if it's the right thing to do, but this was not the right decision. And I think it's important that we have confidence in our decisions, whatever they may be. We're not always the most popular, whether it be being a mother or being a partner or a friend or a business person. I always say, I'm not interested in being the most popular, or I'm not interested in being everyone's friend. I'm interested in people respecting me for always doing what's right. And that's, as a woman, it's a lot lonelier place.
Yes,
but
very much so.
But I think it's important that we recognize it's in 30 years of business. I'm very comfortable in my skin. Very
And that's so
comfortable.
important.
And that to me is what's most important. I'm confident in who I am. And so, I'm sure I have lots of people who may not like me, but I know that they respect me.
And to me, that's one of the most important traits to have, is to have people that respect me. And the same thing, it's not about winning that contest.
We have friends.
Yes.
Right, we have the friends we need.
So, we just brought up something else. You're a mom, and there's a lot of women out there of the balancing act.
There is no balancing.
So
people talk
tell
about
people
this all,
because
there
this
is
is
no
always the
such thing as
Right.
balance. My people say to me all the time, so I'm a mom who I have 2 of my own and 3 of I did not give birth to them, so I have 5 children. So I was that mom who chose not to have, I was very in touch with what I wanted in my life cycle, which I'm not sure where that came from, but I chose not to have a child until I had a specific level in my business. And one of the things that I recognized about me was I am a workaholic because I love what I do. So it's not work.
Right. Absolutely.
That was not going to change. I was not loving the idea of playing goo goo gaga, and I was very vocal about it, which people had a lot to say. So until I could afford to have a babysitter be with me to help me so that I could go to work when the baby was sleeping and they wouldn't know, I wasn't gonna have a baby. So I had my first child. I worked everything around it, from natural caregivers and healers and doulas, so that I literally gave birth and I was back at work in 48 hours. Okay?
Wow. Okay.
With my child. I brought my child to work. I set up a nursery and I brought a nanny with me. And it was beautiful because think about a newborn baby. What do they do most of the time?
Yeah, sleep.
They sleep.
That's it.
So I'm blessed. I don't need a lot of sleep. And I cut a deal with my husband. I said, you know what? You're 50% part of this. So every second night, I'm going to pump and you're going to get up and feed the baby. So I can sleep every second night. And that's what we did. And when the baby was at the office, everybody knew if my door was shut, I was pumping. Do not walk in that door. I would do conference calls on headsets with a double express pump. It was hysterical. And when my baby was sleeping, my nanny loved it because she wasn't, bored. She was working in my warehouse and having interaction with other people. So she was happy. And when the baby woke up, I stopped everything and I was with my child.
Yes.
And I did that for 2 children. And I always said I will never work more than 15 minutes from where I live because I wanted to be that mother who, God forbid, something went wrong or I was needed, I could drop everything and be there.
Right.
I've never missed a school event, a parent-teacher interview, a hockey game, but I'm that mother who gets the other parents to pick the kids up, or I have someone who drives sometimes, drop all the kids off at the rink, and then an hour later, 30 seconds before puck drop, Jody walks in. Because I don't have that extra hour. Being also the sole income provider for my children, I don't have the time not to maximize making those 3-4 phone calls that I could make and be making money. Nor do I want to sit around in a car, just sitting there. So I've figured out my key to success, and if you want to call it balance, is outsourcing. And I outsource everything. I don't cook, okay? I have someone who cooks my meals, packs my lunches, does my grocery shopping, picks up my dry cleaning. And it's not because I'm a princess. I can do all of those things. But every minute that I'm not doing work, that entitles me on Saturdays and Sundays to be with my children the entire time growing up.
Huge.
I can be at every function, every ballet, every whatever. So yeah, it was tough. I was criticized by a lot of moms. I was the one who would, walk into, I always tell the story, I walked into Starbucks one day after dropping my kids off. I still to this day always drive the kids to school. That's my special time in that car. And I was in the Globe and Mail in the newspaper that day, a big picture, and I knew I was. So I walked in and I could see all of these women, and women are the worst, talking about
You're hearing it here, yeah.
You're talking about me, and I heard them shuffle the paper up and close it up, and I said, "Oh, hi guys," and I knew they were talking. You know when someone's talking about you.
It's true.
And I said, "Oh, hey, I think I'm in the paper today. Did you guys happen to see the article or my picture?" "Nope, we didn't see anything." "Oh, okay," and I knew they had seen it. So I went and got my coffee, and it was like one of those very long pauses that you thought would never end. And I walked out and I said, "Okay, bye guys, have a great day." And about an hour later, one of the girls actually called me and she said, "Jody, I'm absolutely disgusted with what I heard in Starbucks and how they were dishing you and talking about what a horrible mother you are." I didn't know how to get out of the conversation. I was just shocked. I never knew how you felt until I heard these women talking about you. And the joke is, 10 years after that, 2 of them asked me for a job because their kids went back to school.
Yeah.
And I confronted them and I told them about how I felt. And they said, "Jody, we were just deep down inside jealous because you made decisions and you were happy and none of us had the balls to do it." So women, not everybody makes the same decisions as you,
No.
but I encourage you all to support each other because I made decisions that were good for me. It doesn't mean they were good for you. Some
No.
people thought I was nuts.
Judging people, I have, age does bring wisdom. And, I grew up in a different world than the average person. So my eyes saw things very different. And when I see how people judge and look at other people, it really does sicken me. But I try to tell people all the time, and especially through my coaching, about, you have to just be real of who you are and just live the life that you want and stop worrying about what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
If you are true to yourself, that's all that matters.
And consistent, right?
Yes.
I mean, I always say I'm the only one that counts, right?
And as a mother,
Right.
and I believe because my children watch what I do.
Sure.
And I'm myself as well very blessed to have two, like I have lots of children because I tend to gather more around through the years. But as my two, they are always watching what they do, and at the end of the day, they totally respect me and understand and see what we're about, and especially having a daughter, and that these my kids become a much better person because they
model our behavior. And in the last 5 years, it's really interesting. I've really seen that, where my daughter recently ended a very long-term relationship, and when I asked her why, she said, because he wasn't treating me the way I deserved to be treated. Now, why did she say that? Because I have the most incredible partner, and every Friday I get a dozen roses and a poem he writes about the week. And he includes all the different types of things that have happened with the kids and whatever. And the kids wait on Friday night, they go, read it, and there's always something potentially inappropriate in the poem, but they see that. And then I saw my son one day, who was very young, walk all the way far to a store to buy me roses. And why? Because he saw the joy when I got my roses. So your kids pick up on that. And I feel that because I'm in such a wonderful, healthy, great spot, I'm the best mother that I've ever been. And my kids, including my new children, I have 5 kids now. Both of their other parents are single. So we've created this incredible nucleus that all of our kids are thriving. They're all seeing what a healthy, wonderful relationship is. They're seeing struggles. They're seeing how you work through it.
Yeah.
And in my business, my clients, everybody sees when you are happy yourself at your core, everything is different. You know, you exude it. You're magnetic. But it's up to you to get there. And that's it's not easy. I mean, it was going back to one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I could have just stayed in a marriage that was like a 6 out of 10. And a lot of people are doing that, whether it be a job or a marriage or any type of relationship or friendship. If it's a 6 out of 10, I'm not a 6 out of 10 kind of gal.
Nice.
You know, I'm 11 out of 10. So whatever department of mine that isn't optimally running at that level is where I feel that I have to work on. And your life will just, and it's not easy. You need help. You know, Glenda, you're an amazing coach. You help people get there, whether it be a coach or a therapist or whatever it may be. It's not easy to get there by yourself. And I don't know if you can. It's okay to ask for help.
Well, and here's something that I've been saying in the last little while to people. It's they have to realize that you can ask for help. Nobody is on this journey by themselves.
You're foolish if you don't.
Right, because you're not going to see things. We can't see, you know, our vision is very tunneled. So if you don't ask for help, if you don't speak out, there's somebody around who's always there for somebody else.
Sure.
And whether it's your friends or all the best, sometimes it's really hard when it's your friends because they're also very narrow-minded. So going out for extra help. And I know that most people at certain levels, coaching is the way because it's a coach that opens the channels to
can be objective,
things. Right.
You know, and say, I'm hearing this, and they've got nothing in it. Like, they're there to help you. That's their only gain, right? That they're there, and they feel as a coach, my job is to help this person make progress and move forward. And that's what you get satisfaction out of.
Right. And there's nothing better to see somebody who is moving forward in their lives. And when you see somebody shining, like to me, that's the most incredible thing. So whether it's your friend, whether it's your business, whatever, we're all in this to continue shining throughout. And that's what we're here for, is we want to, I'm bringing this here because of, you know, there's too many people that are just sitting in their 6 out of 10 jobs, their lives.
Right.
And are just saying, well, I don't think I can do better, and I'm just here to say, you know, you can.
You can definitely.
And it's not easy, but it's work. But what isn't work in life?
Right.
But it's so worth it.
No pain, no gain, right?
Exactly. So Before we wind this up, can you tell us if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about the Bargain
Yeah,
Group, how
sure.
they can?
I have a company called the Bargains Group, bargainsgroup.com. Discount wholesalers, so think about going to Costco. We would supply people like them if you want to buy bargains by the case. Happy to help you. We have a charity called engageandchange.org, which is coming out and being part of 2 annual events and packing kits for the less fortunate. And our new baby, which is really the most exciting, is kitsforacause.com. And it's all about me teaching groups of people, whether they be companies, friends, families, or schools, groups of people to come together and pack kits for a cause of their choice that resonates with them and their local community to make massive impact instead of just writing a check. So that's kitsforacause.com. But everything really is under myself or the Bargains Group. And we're happy to help anybody. We have bargains in our blood. We love making people happy and saving them money at the same time.
It's lovely. And we'll be posting this down below and at the end of this session. So you'll be able to contact Jody or any of her people here that will be able to help. And I can tell you, I've seen what this company is able to do, and it is so fabulous. And you know what it's all about in life, giving back to others, because when you give back, you actually give to yourself. So that's the most incredible thing about it. It's not just giving out to strangers, but you're actually giving to yourself, and you're building yourself up. And you know, at the end of the day, when you feel good, you've done good, that's the most incredible thing in life.
I'd leave it with this to say, if you're having a bad day or something's not going your way, take a deep breath and then do some kind of act of charity. And automatically, you know, those chemicals that are released in your brain make everything feel better. So whether it's just picking up a phone call and calling somebody you haven't called in a while that you know you probably should, or helping somebody across the street, or, you know, being in a drive-through and buying the person behind you a coffee, whatever it is, I guarantee you it'll immediately start to make you feel better, which means you're on the right track.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It was an absolute pleasure.
Always.
And I thank you for joining us today for Magic Mondays. And please love us, share us. But make sure, yes, if you know somebody that could be get some help from this, share it and let somebody else know about this incredible company and this woman here who is out there helping others.
And always looking for great employees to join us too.
It's all about helping. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye-bye.